Soldiers are some of the most self-sufficient, confident, disciplined people I've ever met in my life. And given the right purpose and given the right direction and given a little bit of assistance, that's all it takes, and they can make a real success of themselves. Leaving the military, having been in for, whether you've been in for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you're jumping out of something you know really well and that you're really comfortable with into the complete unknown. The most stressful period of my military career was what next?
I thought, do you know what? I'm tired of kind of taking orders from other people. I want the freedom to be able to follow my own dreams. And that's where I thought, business will give me that opportunity to thrive. Anybody who's served in the military, particularly in the ranks, will know that there is nothing more entrepreneurial than a soldier trying to get out of trouble.
I joined the military, into the Military Intelligence Corps, and served for about 17 years, sometimes exciting and varied career which spanned all over the globe. Operational tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, North Africa. So really interesting time, and I can still look back on it fondly.
I think I'd always wanted to serve, and the military is obviously a great vehicle to do that, and it's something I'd always wanted to do as a little boy. I joined the Army 2002. I joined the OTC, which is the Officer Training Corps, and I did that for a year, and at that point the Afghan war kicked off and went through the selection process, was given the option of the Intelligence Corps, and that's where my career in the military went. The first business that I set up was social media for school, and then during that time as well, it was I started bringing in some other clients which didn't quite fit into that school narrative. So at that point I met my business partner, came up with a plan on the train up to London to start a business, and that's where we ended up with Hermes Digital,
which is a digital perception management consultancy, looking after high net worth individuals, political entities, and managing their digital perception, whether that's how they want to be viewed and how they want to be seen on social media channels.
I set up that first business, I was kind of thinking, right, there must be other veteran-owned businesses out there, and how can I get in touch with them? How can I ask for some advice from somebody who's probably making all the same mistakes I'm making when you first set your business up? It wasn't really anything which pulled together all those veteran-owned businesses, and I thought, well, do you know what, I've got the skills to do that. I'm going to basically make it.
British veteran-owned will offer that soft landing for people who want to start up their own business. Can we get them on the accounting register? Can we get them insurance help so as they can start up their business and have that soft landing that propels them and catalyses them into success straight away?
Veterans are extremely resilient and often natural leaders. They have the skills to really succeed in life, and I think mentorship bridges the gap into a new life and gives them those hard skills and soft skills as well to really succeed in life after serving.
Having veterans and through the military training with the discipline and all the kind of training that they go through is very similar to the business that we have here. They've got extraordinary sort of skill sets and also discipline that they can use throughout their working life once they're out of the army.
Asking for help isn't always the easiest thing to do. I'm for ex-servicemen, I don't think. Being able to encourage that in a safe community like British Veteran Owned, because we've all been there before. We've all had those periods of imposter syndrome.
Particularly when you're a small startup, you're doing all those jobs. How can you scale, but still at the same time keep your processes and also make sure that you are growing your business?
I'm not IT literate whatsoever. The back end and that business support and that finance support is something that probably no service person has when they jump out, because you won't have touched it before. Learning as we went, going from spreadsheet onto sort of tracking receipts, tracking invoices, doing that all manually. You're talking days and days and days every month just trying to work out like where your accounting was. Sage has saved us 4 to 5 days every month in terms of the accounting that we'd have to do manually to what it now takes off our hands. It's been absolutely instrumental in streamlining all of our accounting processes.
Having the tools at your disposal to be able to go, right, how can I make life as easy as possible for myself whilst hitting those objectives?
Sage Copilot for us, it just fills in the blanks in our knowledge. It's literally like having a business administrative partner at your fingertips built into the accounting software. It's been absolutely brilliant. Part of our connection with Sage early on was the understanding the veterans network, so ex-veterans who are now working within Sage and then creating a community for their own sort of veteran network in there. They're giving us some really good ideas on how to both grow and enhance British Veteran Owned whilst giving us points of contact within Sage that we can go to for advice and guidance.
Yeah, I spent 11 years in the Armed Forces, in the Royal Engineers, in the British Army. I work in the product organisation on the Sage platform strategy.
And within the Army, I was a Royal Engineer officer, and I did 23 years. I work as a transformation director in the organisational effectiveness team within the people function.
I was an officer in the British Army, I served for 14 years. For Sage, I look after our crisis management, came through the Pathways program, which helps people get into tech. I think it's really, really important that as a business that champions small and medium-sized businesses, we not only champion small and mediums, but we champion the veterans who are trying to make a second career. You're ripped from one world and then thrust into another. I can't imagine the stresses of being ripped from one world and then starting your own business with a lot of responsibility and new and exciting challenges to overcome.
You know that veterans, it can be challenging to move from armed services through into the civilian world.
So what we wanted to do is bring together those communities, not just for veterans, but for family members of veterans, of which there are more, to champion those people in Sage.
For me, it's about supporting entrepreneurs. It's about enabling their good ideas to help them sort of develop their businesses and do well in society and the outside world. For me, the soft skills, leadership, how to pull an ad hoc team together to achieve an objective is probably one of the key things that we bring.
Discipline, selfless commitment, loyalty, integrity, respect for others. These are kind of ingrained in us as servicemen and women. And I think you would be hard pushed to find any service person starting their own business which doesn't have those values at the forefront of their mind.
We need to change this narrative that veterans are all mad, bad and sad and wanting handouts. We're not. And we don't even want an advantage over anybody else.
It's really focusing on veterans' potential and changing the narrative around their past, from this sympathy piece to something that's really empowering and looking at their full potential and how they can contribute to the wider society.
For the veteran-owned businesses, to leave the services and set up yourself as an entrepreneur, I mean, that's a huge transition. And having the bravery and the courage to sort of say, actually, I'm going to put myself out there and do that. In the early days, I made the mistake of almost trying to morph myself into a civilian, when actually I think what my team have helped me do is say, well, actually, no, the skills you bring from the services, that's why you're here.
There is a second life after the armed forces. You can absolutely leverage everything you've learnt within the military to make every success of your second life. Trust in what you have been taught. Your experiences and the things that you went through in the military have value on the other side, and if you can deliver benefit for wider civilian life and the corporate life, I think it's an amazing thing to have that drive and that motivation to get out and do something which you're passionate about.
The old saying goes, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
There are far too many veterans who sometimes take the safe route. You've got nothing to lose by starting a business. Believe in yourself, back yourself.